Our next question comes from David Johnson. You say, to what extent do you guys think about RFID or NFC, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, as far as real and hypothetical threats? On the one hand, security and privacy risks of these technologies have been pointed out numerous times in the privacy and security circles. For example, you could pass by someone close by and clone their credit card or something like that. On the other hand, there doesn't seem to have been many, if any, actual stories of these things happening, with the exception of, we covered a few weeks ago, Google and Apple are like mapping everybody's Wi-Fi router locations and stuff. So basically, are these like real threats that we should mitigate? And if so, how? I agree with you 100%. Generally speaking, I have not heard a lot of story other than like maybe card skimming. That said, it's only not an issue until it is, right? So I definitely understand if you want to go ahead and be proactive about this kind of stuff. I do actually have an NFC blocking wallet from, what do they call it? Silent Pocket? Or I think now they're just like Silent or something like that. I do have one of those, and real quick, I do think those work, and the reason why is because a few years ago, I went out of town, and they gave me a hotel key that was NFC, so I didn't have to put it in the door or anything. I just had to put it near the door, and I was like, this is a great opportunity to test. So I put it in my wallet, and no matter how close I got, what angle I was at, whether it was the first card, the last card, it didn't trigger the door. So to me, that was good enough that I was like, okay, this thing does what it says it's going to do. Other than that, I'm not really too worried. Personally, I'm doing the best I can. I think this is a good question, and I think it's worth like looking into and considering. But it's one of those things that I don't think is worth like losing sleep over and really panicking about, because I think the risk is relatively low.
Yeah, I overall agree. It's definitely on the lower end for most people of things they should be concerned about. There are a lot of things to tackle that are much more likely to happen, that have a lot more repercussions. And there's actually reasons to keep Bluetooth enabled nowadays. What comes to mind is AirTag tracking. Now phones have security features that rely on Bluetooth to be able to see if someone's spying on you with an AirTag. So if you're somebody who wants to benefit from that feature, you have to keep your Bluetooth on all the time. With that said, I was looking up stories while we were talking, because in my head, some of these stories happened, and some of them did, some of them didn't, based on my memory. But the ones that actually did happen, where my memory actually held up, back in 2013, UK bars had these trash cans that were tracking people with Wi-Fi, and it was from something called a Renew ad firm. And they were forced to stop. They got caught doing this, but this was just one example where they pretty much started just implementing this technology in garbage cans in public. Very different levels of like possibility of impacting your day-to-day life. But I think it's something that's fair to think about, and I think it's healthy to think about it, and it's something that I don't think is reasonable to expect every individual to think about. And so that's why I think it's more important to deal with this on a more social level. And this is the kind of thing that makes more sense for us to maybe advocate for and have like rules and regulations around what kind of tracking is allowed in the public sector. And I'm more concerned about this from the perspective of like vehicles and cars, which we're starting to see a lot more technologies built in, designed to track things around the car and not even going on in the car itself. So I think just tracking in general in the public space is really interesting. And I do think disabling radios inadvertently might help you a little bit, but it's not something that it wouldn't be the first thing, or even probably the first 10 things I would suggest people look into. Hey there, thanks for watching this surveillance clip. This is actually clipped from our main podcast surveillance report, where we talk about privacy and security news on a weekly basis to keep you safe as often as we can. If you want something to listen to while you're driving to work, maybe check out the full channel at Surveillance Report, or you can stay subscribed to Surveillance Clips. Either way, we'll see you next time.